Yeah, spring in Montana. How warm is your house? Today I want to talk to you just a little bit for a couple of minutes here about insulation. And I promise not to bore you. When Linda and I first moved to Montana, and that's been 20 or 22 years, something like that, we bought a little house in town. And the first thing I did coming from Hawaii, I had to keep the house warm for Linda and me. And I crawled up in the attic to look at what it had for insulation. It had very little, maybe 6 inches, 8 inches, something like that. So Linda and I rented a machine from Home Depot, and we bought bags of insulation, and we insulated the heck out of that house. It was deep. It was probably 18 inches deep when we were done. And that little house was so warm and comfortable. A lot of people don't think too much about their insulation. I mention it to people, my friends here in town, and they go, oh, there's enough. Well, what tells you if you got enough or not is what your electric and gas bill is every month. We had a friend next door, neighbor, elderly woman, and it's like, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago, her electric bill was $450 a month during the winter time in a little tiny modular home. Very little insulation. When it would snow, the snow would melt off her roof and nothing flat. But that was all she could do. She had these open beam ceilings, and it was just impossible to insulate without putting a whole new roof on the place. I felt sorry for her because at that time we were only paying probably $100 a month ourselves. Back in the old days, back when I was born in 1950, and I remember our house in eastern Washington when my father built it, and he put 9 inches of rock wool in the ceiling, and they thought he was crazy to do that. Nobody put that much insulation in. Well, before that, they didn't even have hardly any insulation. A lot of houses weren't insulated at all. 4 inches of rock wool. Now, rock wool, I don't know what it was, some kind of a mineral. It looked like little tiny dark gray cotton balls. I remember they blew that in, or they probably didn't blow it in. They probably hand dispersed it in, but he did that. And then our big picture window, he had a special window made for the living room. He told them he wanted 2 panes of glass to keep the house warmer. And they didn't know what the heck he was talking about, but he did. Of course, it wasn't a sealed window or anything like that, but it was double glass. He went on and he insulated the bedroom walls. He did that so when you closed the bedroom door, you wouldn't be heating that room. And each room had its own electric heater back in the day when electricity was cheap. But then we get to today. Now, Linda and I bought this house, probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. And I did a pre-buy inspection on it, and there was 2 to 4 inches of sawdust in the ceiling in a home in Montana. And a lot of places between the rafters, it was totally bare, like over the living room. I can't imagine what their heating bill was before we bought this place. What I did is after we bought it, I went up in the ceiling, up in the attic, and I made sure that all the wiring was good. I spent a week updating the wiring up there, and then I called the insulation company and I had them come out, and I had them put in way more than they thought. I probably got 24 inches of insulation, of blown in insulation in that attic up there, and over my garage. My heat bill here in Montana in the dead of winter between gas and electricity runs about $150 a month. My neighbors are paying 3 times that easily. As for windows, I did a little research, and this old house of ours, it's got thermopane windows on it, and they're okay. But it's actually warmer to have the old storm windows. The kind you take off every spring? Those actually test higher than thermopane the last time I looked, which was several years ago. But they're not bad. If you don't have thermopane and you've got some storm windows leaning up in your basement, be sure to get them on in the wintertime. They really help. Springtime in Montana. A couple of days ago it was 70. It's supposed to be 70 a couple days from now. Of course, I should mention siding. This house has terrible siding on it. It was steel siding that it was guaranteed for a lifetime, and the paint started peeling off right away. I didn't get in on the class action lawsuit. That was the previous owner, but we deal with peeling paint all the time. But underneath that steel siding is another ½ inch of foam insulation that they just put up. The main thing was, though, they put up like a Tyvek barrier, or a waterproof barrier underneath that, and that keeps the drafts out of your house, and that works quite well. Well, this is just a short video. I just wanted to mention that to you. Check your attic. And you know, insulation is not, it looks expensive at first. Yeah, it may cost you $1,000, may cost you up to $2,000 to insulate your home. But the payoff, in the long run, you're going to get your money back. In the short run, you're going to be a lot more comfortable, especially if you live in a climate like I do. Anyways, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you around. Can't wait till summer. People always asking me, why you spend so much time in the desert? Gee, I wonder. How come you don't camp in Montana more often?